Hey, hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, GamingGang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. This is live show 1248. And I will point out things have been crazy already this evening, trying to get this show off the ground because for some oddball reason, my internet keeps dropping. So I don't know what's going on. In fact, I am going to take a guess that the chat is not working properly with the window I have up. So let me take a look here. Man, it's always something. Yep, of course. Of course. All right, so let me pop this on out. There we go. Now we have a working chat window. I'm telling you, last Thursday's show, what absolute craziness that was. Just dropped, could not reconnect to the streaming server for YouTube. Internet was fine. I don't know. All right. So let's get back on track. So welcome aboard. If you're not overly familiar with the show, as you can tell, super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and then I will normally take a first look at a game, which we will be doing tonight. In fact, we tried taking a look at this on Thursday's show. Or maybe it's cursed, but we are going to take a peek at Old Gods of Appalachia, Dig Your Own Grave from Monte Cook Games. Stay tuned. I will also tell you how you can win not only a copy of this in PDF, but I will also include a copy of the core rulebook, Old Gods of Appalachia, in PDF. It's going to be a little bit of a different contest this time around. You're getting a pretty sweet contest here. So it's not going to be your typical leave a comment, thumb up the video sort of thing. But, Plus, I know people were curious, who in the world won the PDF of Black Powder and Brimstone? I will reveal the winner to that after we tackle the news. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit GamingGang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And then, of course, when you're hanging out, watching live, consider taking part in chat. Yes, that's right, because we have chat available. Now, of course, you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 60 minutes in order to take part in chat. But if you check off that box and you want to say howdy, maybe you had a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my absolute best to respond. First out the gate tonight is our pal Sean O'Donnell. Kathy Evans is with us, as is Keithulu, Kevin R. Smith, another good friend of the show, the Madman. Spelling mistake. Let's see. Who else do we have? Kevin King. Mike is with us. Let's see. Why is the chat? I'm telling you, man, this is just a pain tonight. It's just a pain. Why in the world, for some reason, this chat window isn't working right? It's like freezing up. Last week, it was like, yeah, we're just streaming. Here was the weird thing last week. We got the boot at the 1 hour mark. Right, practically on the money. It was 1 hour, 48 seconds. Thought that was kind of weird. I thought that was kind of strange. All right. Anyway, we also have J-Man. And I think I have said hello to everyone. And we might even have the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D lurking in the shadows tonight as another one of our chat moderators. Spelling Mistake says they're too obsessed with the Magnus archives to let another horror podcast into their heart. That's cool. Kevin R. Smith says, the universe doesn't want us to know about this game. Therefore, we must go out and buy it. Kevin King says 5 of them beat the Madman in the chat tonight. Wondering if the Madman's feeling okay. All right. So anyway, we'll jump into the news and I'll talk about some of the strangeness that's been going on. Oh, okay. Before we get into the news. So I'm down here, I'm getting everything set up and the internet just keeps dropping. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And it not only keeps dropping, I run on Windows and I click on the Wi-Fi connection and it shows, oh, connect to my router. I'm like, okay. So I connect and it kept asking me to put in my password. So I fill it in. I put my password in. Okay, we'd be connected for about a minute. And then all of a sudden it would disconnect me again. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So we'll see how this goes. Coco B says, oh, cool shirt, Jeff. Guess you want to get a little closer look. It's a little cool down here. It's not, it's too warm to wear like a sweatshirt. In fact, I'm actually a little warm in this, but it's a little too cool down here to be just wearing like a golf shirt or something like that. Mike says the spiders are chewing through the cables in the walls. Yes, down here in the duct tape studios. Kevin King says Windows 11 did the same to them yesterday after an update. Yes, I had an update. And then there was another update. So I'm thinking maybe they might have fixed that. So sorry to hear. The Madman says that their mom's having some health issues. Well, sending healing thoughts your mom's way. Hopefully she gets better. I know. Yeah. At this point, at our ages, parents get sick and it's like right away. You're like, oh shit. All right. So let's jump on into the news because the new edition of Kings of War, the fantasy miniatures game, is coming out next month, and Mantic Games is going to be releasing a new 2-player starter set entitled Claws in the Sand. Here's what I know. Choose your side with the Claws in the Sand 2-player starter set for Kings of War, which includes everything you need to command your army and dive into battle. Plastic models for both factions, the Kings of War core rules, and assembly guides. The Zerkali invasion has begun. Get ready, I'm going to mispronounce various different names and places and, because it's all pretend. Their fleet crashes onto the shores of Vishlar, unleashing a tide of war. As chaos spreads, the Green Lady calls upon the Trident Realm to hold the line, buying precious time for the Elven defenders to rise. When the need is great, the kings are willing. then there is little in this world that can stop the fury of the waves as they march forth onto the shores of the land dwellers. The box contains 60 minis, a slimmed version of the new core rules. I don't know if that's just like a pocket-sized rule book or if it's kind of a like quick start rule set. I don't know. It looks like it's the regular rule book. There are also player aids as well as assembly instructions. The set's going to carry an MSRP of $155 when it lands in stores next month. Gotta say, these miniature sculpts look pretty cool. I like the dog. He's like a leader. He's like a canine soldier. You'll see that in just a moment here. I thought that is really well done. Even at my finest moment, I could not paint miniatures like that. I mean, that is professional miniature painting at its absolute finest. Now, interestingly enough, I mentioned a few times, my nephew Cameron has kind of gotten the miniature painting bug. And I am trying to teach him how to paint miniatures. And yeah, I love my nephew. Don't get me wrong, but I see what he's been painting. He'll be like, "Oh, Uncle Jeff, check this out," and I can see that he's trying to cut corners, and you can tell. I mean, I'm hoping to teach him how to paint miniatures that will pop. So, well, we'll see. But it's kind of cool that he's, into painting them. He's not into playing anything. And funny enough, I remember when he was probably about 11 or 12, one of his friends in grade school, I guess his older brother or something, played Warhammer 40K, which meant that the kid got to play. And I guess the kid's mom was trying to tell my sister-in-law, "Oh, yeah, you should get Cameron into playing that." And she asked me about it. I said, "Absolutely not." I was like, it's not even necessarily the subject matter. It's how expensive the hobby is. And she obviously had absolutely no clue that you're looking at, 10, 15 bucks for a figure. But these look pretty sweet. I've reached out to Mantic Games to see, since they got a new edition that's coming out, maybe we can kind of get on board with them a little bit. Maybe just even with the news. All right, so moving on from miniatures, let's dive on into our standard forte of tabletop role-playing game news. As the revised edition of the Basin Core Rulebook is arriving later this month, here's the latest from Free League Publishing. In dark forests beyond the mountains, by black lakes and hidden groves, at your doorstep, in the shadows, something stirs. Strange beings, twisted creatures lurking at the edge of vision, watching, waiting. Unseen by most, but not by you. You see them for what they really are. Basin. Based on the acclaimed art book by Johan Egerkrans, Basin Nordic Horror Role-Playing has become a fan favorite worldwide and has won multiple awards, including 3 Ennies since its initial release in 2020. Now, having been out of print for several months in many regions, the game is back in a revised edition with clarified and improved game mechanics, yet it remains fully compatible with all previous releases. This revised edition features a new and improved edition of the best-selling Gothic tabletop role-playing game, a score of blood-curdling Wesen to encounter, all beautifully illustrated by Johan Egerkrans. Game mechanics based on an adapted version of the award-winning Year Zero engine. 10 ready-to-use archetypes let you create a character in minutes, or use the included life path tables and let the dice decide. Quick and flavorful rules for combat, investigations, and horror, as well as an introductory mystery called The Dance of Dreams. There's even a detailed gazetteer of the mythic North setting, as well as the town of Uppsala. This 240-page hardcover with PDF. It's going to carry an MSRP of $49.99 when it arrives October 28th. The revised edition of the PDF is available right now. It is out at DriveThruRPG for $24.99. I like Vaesen. I think it's a cool game. I think it's really nicely suited for relatively short campaigns. Honestly, this is just my opinion. I just don't think the rule system as presented to this point can really support an ongoing campaign that runs years, because there just aren't enough interesting advancements that the player characters get. But as a whole, it's something that, might run a dozen sessions, something like that. I like it. And of course, his one-shots, very cool as well. Kevin King says their wife watched the Grimm series a couple times through. She'd probably like this one. Yeah, it's very cool. I like Vaesen. The only release that I wasn't like overwhelmingly positive about was Mythic Britain? And it was just little tiny nuggets of info that even people who didn't live in England knew about England. It was sort of like, and I wasn't alone in thinking it was a little undercooked. Moving right along. Right now, you can score a money-saving deal over at Bundle of Holding on the Mystery Flesh Pit National Park, the role-playing game from Ganza Gaming. I said Ganza, not Ganja. And the Permian Basin Superorganism. Here's the deets on the deal. Welcome, visitor, to Mystery Flesh Pit National Park, the role-playing game, the Cypher System tabletop role-playing game rulebook from Ganza Gaming about the Permian Basin Superorganism. This bizarre natural geobiological feature, a living subterranean behemoth of unknown size and origin, was discovered in 1973 when a West Texas oil rig accidentally drilled into it. The PBSO has one large orifice abutting the surface. This giant opening gave the entity its common name, the Mystery Flesh Pit. The pit is a vast ecosystem filled with enormous anatomical systems and strange phenomena that defy scientific understanding. The PBSO became a roadside tourist oddity run by charismatic oil man James Jackson. Later, the National Park Service brought the site under federal control. In 2007, a disaster forced the service to close the park. Today, the pit is a government black site, a sprawling industrial complex of pumps and pipes that keep the slumbering giant from waking up. For 4 years, on the Mystery Flesh Pit National Park website, artist Trevor Roberts meticulously visualized the pit's decades-long evolution, using tourism signage, wildlife brochures, safety manuals, and government memos that describe the entity. Now the licensed Mystery Flesh Pit National Park, the role-playing game, authorized by Trevor Roberts, lets you experience the park's heyday as hundreds of thousands of visitors hike and tour through the dangerous fleshscape. Meanwhile, the secretive Anodyne Corporation exploits the pit's resources, creating miracle drugs, organic computers, and the equipment necessary for plunging deeper into the abyss. Pay just $5.95 for the complete standalone Mystery Flesh Pit National Park The RPG core rulebook has a retail price of $17. Now, you don't need the Cypher System rulebook or any other rules to play, just morbid curiosity and a strong stomach. These savings will run through October 22nd. Tessie Trekkie says this role-play game is deeply, deeply weird. They bought a print copy from DriveThruRPG, but have no idea what to do with it. I don't think Trevor Roberts is still doing stuff on that. Although I guess there was talk of like maybe a graphic novel coming out. I gotta say, this is cool. I have taken a peek at the website. I did when this was, I want to say it was on Kickstarter. And of course, it successfully funded. And I remember taking a peek at the website itself. And the website was really wild. It was pretty cool. Tessie Trekkie is with us in chat. Welcome. So you say you want to save even more money? Well, there's a new deal over at Humble Bundle, which features Magpie Games. And here's what I know about the Magpie Games extravaganza. The tastiest tabletop role-playing games by Magpie. All right. Before I go any further, I have to say, I don't know who they get to write up these really short, like, it's not sell sheet, but it's like promo material, right? Over at Humble Bundle, because I'll tell you right now, they don't have an idea what the hell they're talking about. So we got the tastiest tabletop role-playing games by Magpie, as if a magpie is a pie. Magpie's a bird. They did the same thing with something else recently that I did a news piece for, and I called them out on it. And it's like, wow, couldn't they get the company itself to do the write-up? Gather the gang. It's tabletop role-playing game night with the Magpie Games Extravaganza Bundle. Get Magpie's hottest titles in one collection, like Root, the role-playing game, a 3 to 6 player adventure centered on woodland creatures fighting for money, justice, and freedom from powers far greater than themselves. Or join Ang in Avatar Legends, the role-playing game, a grand adventure set in the world of water, earth, fire, and air. Could have turned that around and just made it the band, right? Earth, Wind, and Fire, baby. Try these and other standout modern tabletop role-playing games like Mask, a new generation, for a price you can't beat. Now, you can jump aboard for as little as $5, or you can go all in for a minimum donation of $25, which will get your hands on all 27 items in this bundle. So less than $1 a game. Well, less than $1 a PDF, I guess I should say, because there are supplements, there are adventures, and things like that. These savings will run through November 1st. Now, I will point out that the Urban Shadows role-playing game is not part of this deal. But pretty much everything else from Magpie Games is. Although, Zombie World, I think Zombie World's brand new from them, or at least a new edition of it is new from Magpie. That's also not part of this, but Our Last Best Hope, heard that was a very, very cool role-playing game. And these should pretty much all, or at least close to all, use the Powered by the Apocalypse mechanics. J-Man says Flesh Pit is an extent of the analog horror series, like the Backrooms, Vita Carnis, etc. They can see running this as an extension to the lore. Tessie Trekkie says 4 and 20 blackbirds baked in a pie. When the pie was open, the birds began to sing. I know. I get it. But a magpie isn't a pie. A magpie is a bird. It's not 4 and 20 magpies baked in a pie. But yes, Tessie Trekkie, I know that's where the person who wrote that got it. It's like, Keith says, our last best hope for peace, Babylon 5. I gotta say, I think our last best hope is about an alien invasion. But I mean, it's like interstellar. It's not just aliens invade Earth. Kevin R. Smith says there are a couple of Fate titles in there. There we go. Actually, there are some Fate. I don't know if they're zines, but they're like supplements. They're not exactly full-fledged Fate games. And who just said they were running Root for somebody or some teens? Oh, there you go, Kevin King. Tessie Trekkie says, Root is fun, but genocide starts soon. Avatar Legends is powered by the apocalypse, made far too complex. Mask is an excellent PBTA superheroes game that's more focused at their emotional arcs. And there are a few Masks PDFs. I think it's 4 that are part of this bundle. Very nice. So you say you want to save even more money? I don't know. Can you handle all these savings? I don't know. Don't blame me if your heads explode. But Goodman Games has teamed with Fanatical for a huge offer on role-playing terror tales. And here's the skinny on the Tabletop Horror Collection. The dungeons have just become a bit darker with the Goodman Games Tabletop Horror Collection. Take the horror up a notch in your D20 games with this collection of 26 new to Fanatical role-playing game books. Inside this collection are new adventures with an added dose of horror and seasonal settings with books like Dungeon Crawl Classics Horror Number 1, They Served Brandolin Red, which sees an evil born of dark secrets that refuses to stay buried, which could surface during a marriage between influential families. I also believe it's a year, I shouldn't say year, it's a level 0 funnel, if I remember correctly. Snap up a stunning collection of complete guides to understanding some of the darkest creatures and characters that roam the lands, and add a touch of terror in your game nights with books like The Complete Guide to Vampires, and find the answers to the origin, true nature, and role of the vampire. Act fast. Okay, you don't really have to act too fast. I'll tell you why in a minute. And snap up this incredible offer today before it's banished to the shadows. All the products which are included in this promotion will be redeemed through DriveThruRPG, and you will need to redeem your bundle keys before October 31st of next year. So not this October 31st, not this Halloween, next Halloween. Now you can jump aboard for as little as $1, or you can snag all 26 PDFs for only $9.99. And these savings do run through December 5th. So you've got time to pick this up. But gotta say, Goodman Games not too long ago did a bundle. It may have been on Bundle of Holding with horror adventures, and it came nowhere close to this kind of deal. So far, it used to be Humble Bundle, absolute best PDF deals when they would roll out special bundles on RPGs. Fanatical's got them beat now. I mean, they're never more than $20. And we've seen stuff where it's, granted, they're out of print. Well, they're no longer supported, I guess, role-playing games. Like we saw Twilight 2000, and it's pretty much everything from first and second edition Twilight 2000. And you could get all, I think it was like 91 PDFs. And it was like $19.99. Keith Lewis says he wouldn't want to face the bog beast, especially if it was the British definition of bog. Captain Infinity Time Travel Police has joined us, so welcome. All right, so that's it for the news tonight. Kind of got through it at a relatively quick clip. So, you may have noticed I did mention DriveThruRPG. I think I only mentioned it once in tonight's news, but still, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit DriveThruRPG or any of the other One Bookshelf sites, such as Dungeon Masters Guild, Storyteller's Vault, DriveThru Fiction, DriveThru Cards, any of those sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale, 5% to be exact. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like the video, give it a quick thumbs up. If you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can support the outlet in a couple of other ways, including making a one-time donation by way of PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. How about those Bears? Sadly, I can't say how about those Cubs. And sadly, the Madman can't say how about them Tigers, but that was a classic game. That really was a classic. Anyway, you can also become a monthly member of our Patreon, and you'll find links in the show notes. Also, down in those show notes, you'll find a link to join our Discord server, absolutely free. So be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. Yay. All right, so let's talk contests. So you may recall I was going to announce the winner of the PDF of Black Powder and Brimstone on Thursday's show. I was going to announce the winner after we took a peek at Dig Your Own Grave. And of course, if you were watching, you know that for whatever reason, we got the boot off of YouTube. And it wouldn't let me reconnect. So I was like, oh, that's the show. That's the show, ladies and gentlemen. So if you may have noticed, I trimmed it to just the news. So I think we go news and then we get into the brief intermission, and then that's where I ended it. Anyway, yes, the Madman says they were up quite late to see the Tigers lose in 15 innings. Based on earlier innings, they saw it coming. Yeah, same thing with the Cubs. I was like, yeah. But that Bears game last night, I did not think they were going to pull that out. But they got a little bit of revenge for last year's game against the Commanders. All right, so anyway, so the winner of the PDF for Black Powder and Brimstone is Ken Markham. So, Ken, you left a comment over on thegaminggang.com. Send me an email from that same email address, and I will get you set up with a copy of Black Powder and Brimstone in PDF. I also want to mention, I'd like to give a shout out to our Patreon members out there. So at the $5 tier, we've got Gustavo Cavalho, my designer friend Herman Lutman, Jason Lawman, Caval, Kevin R. Smith, Max Apocalypse, Sean O'Donnell, and Talzak. Our $10 tier members, Dan Webb, GameCat, Kevin King, Pete Straklich, RPG Munch, Tessie Trekkie, and Tier 2 DM, as well as our $25 level supporters, Agile Monk, Flint Firestone, and the Madman. Thank you, everyone. It is vastly appreciated. Reading Aid is with us in chat. Good to see you joining us once again. This is the only show this week because I am going to be on my way to Gamehole Con, and I am going to be attending Gamehole Con with my nephew Cameron. So he surprised me last week. Well, I take that back. He says he sent me a text like around the 1st saying, hey, are we still on for Madison, Wisconsin? And I was like, damn, I hadn't heard anything from you. I thought, because he said he had to find out what his schedule was. So I called him back and he said, didn't you get my text from a couple of weeks ago or like a week and a half ago, whatever? I was like, no. So yeah, I texted you saying, hey, I got my schedule. I can go at least Thursday and Friday. I was like, oh, okay. All right. Reading Aid's asking any live shows from Gamehole. No. You got to keep in mind, as far as doing a live stream, you got to have some pretty solid upload speeds and upload bandwidth to do so. And like doing like from a convention floor, you gotta pay somebody to set you up. You can't just like piggyback on their internet because you can barely get your own like Wi-Fi, your own 5G to work. So no live shows from Gamehole. I gotta be honest, I don't know who I'm gonna be talking to. I know that Arcane Library is there, but Kelsey Dion's only going to be there for a few hours on Sunday, and she's just going for meetings with people. I reached out to Luke from Limithron, who does Pirate Borg, because they're going to be there. He's not going to be attending because he has, a personal business that he needs to take care of. But he said, hey, you can talk to my brother. Now, I don't know if he's his brother, or if it's like, yeah, man, you're my brother kind of thing. I think it might be the latter. So I might do an interview. For some reason, I want to say I think Luke said his name is Trevor. Kim King says, I think Troll Lords is going to be there. You know what? I reached out to Chuck to let him know, hey, I'm going to be covering Gamehole Con if you guys want to set up an interview. I never heard anything back. So what I'm going to do is I am going to bring my camera. I'll bring my little lavalier mics. They're wireless, and see what we can do from there. Spelling Mistake says Monte Cook Games is going to be there. Okay, so here's something I should point out. And then we're going to get into taking a look at Dig Your Own Grave before YouTube decides they've had enough of my nonsense and gives me the boot again. So for conventions like Gamehole Con, you'll have like Chaosium Inc.'s going to be there. I can pretty much guarantee that you're going to see a pretty small presence. So I would think maybe Rick Meintz will be there. But I don't know of anything new that's cooking with Chaosium at the moment that maybe we would talk about. And so like Monte Cook Games is going to be there. I can guarantee you that their marketing person, I think she's marketing PR, something like that. She was super nice. Now off the top of my head, I don't recall her name. But she's from England, so I can guarantee you she won't be there. Their person who does like social media, who was also part of that interview. And I got to be honest, if you didn't watch that interview I did with Monte Cook Games, it's pretty fun. It's a pretty fun interview. Plus, you also get to see the camera kind of moving when Elliot starts drifting off to sleep Spelling mistake says Kate is usually there. Really? She comes over from across the pond? Hey, I'm cool with that. I have no problem with that. But I mean, a lot of times, like, I know Super Savage Systems is going to be there. Isn't that Brian Shutter? I think that's his name. The guy who does Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland, which I thought was fun. I don't think he liked my review because I did say that the presentation of it is kind of a mess. So, yes, Rob Wieland, I think that's how it's pronounced, passed away. And he was somebody up in Wisconsin who had a big impact with Gamehole Con. I heard about that. I had actually posted my condolences on Blue Sky. I should point out, if you want to follow the gaming gang and kind of me, that more of a personal social media posting, that's Blue Sky. X just gets, oh, here's the news piece, here's what's coming up on the show. There isn't a lot of like, oh, hey, congratulations to Chris Spivey for being brought on board with Art Dream Publishing, working on Delta Green and The Black Company. That's something I would post on Blue Sky. X, no. So yeah, so I heard he passed away. I think he was 48. Wow. Reading Aid says that they ran a mothership scenario for them and a few others off site. It was hilarious. He will be missed. I heard he was a very good guy. I had never met him. I really didn't know much about him outside of seeing reviews on, I want to say it's N World that I'm sorry, I take that back. EN World. So, and I guess he did game reviews for Forbes, which in my opinion, it's like, whatever. Forbes is like Sports Illustrated now. Oh, Sports Illustrated's reviewing the new Dungeons and Dragons release. It's just whatever they think somebody might click on is what they're going to post. Kevin R. Smith says it might be because many of their key people, including Monty, Sean K. Reynolds, and Bruce R. Cordell, have Wisconsin ties from their TSR days. That's a possibility. Well, I'll tell you what, if I spot them, I will, well, I know, I don't think I'll run across Monty, but if I do see Kate or her partner in crime, I'm terrible at names. I think everybody kind of knows that by now. I'm not real good at faces. I'm great. I mean, I'll see somebody, and I mean, Elliot and I will be at like Gen Con, and I'll be like, oh, hey, I recognize that person over there. And I'll say, oh, yeah, I remember we were over by blah, blah, blah 2 years ago. But they could have told me their name 10 times. And I'd be like, I don't know. So Reading Aid says, yeah, Monty was there. Yeah, but a lot of times with these smaller cons, like even last year, not last year, 2 years ago, when we went to Gary Con, and then when we went to Founders and Legends the following year, the various different like luminaries and stuff like that did not want to get in front of the camera, did not want to go on mic. They're like, we're just here to relax. We're here to have fun. I think that's how some of these exhibitors also look at it. But, you know, who knows? Like I said, I will bring my camera. I'm going to bring the monopod. I'll have my microphones. So if I already told Cameron what we'll do Thursday is kind of bop around, say hello to people, kind of press the flesh, And we'll try to set up some interviews for Friday, because I know Cameron's going to be there too. So Renegade says they were upstairs next to Catalyst Game Labs. There's an upstairs at Gamehole Con? Like, what? I was like, I don't recall there being, I mean, I'm not saying there isn't, but I'm like, I've only been there once. I went last year. I thought it was all just one level. I was going to say otherwise. I was like, wait a second, man. I must have been missing out on a lot of cool stuff. Hey, that's what happens when you're by yourself. You're like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking for. I'll have to remember that. I have to check that out. All right. So tonight, we're going to be taking a first look at Old Gods of Appalachia, Dig Your Own Grave. Renegade says, by the exit to the food trucks. I did not go down to eat by the food trucks, but I know what you're talking about. So yes, I will definitely go take a peek. And if anybody happens to be watching, I'm going to post this also on social media. If you're going to be at Gamehole Con and you see me floating around, as long as I'm not interviewing somebody, come over and say hello. I'm a pretty friendly character. All righty. Anyway, so we're going to be taking a look at Dig Your Own Grave. I am also going to be giving away a copy of Dig Your Own Grave in PDF. And as I mentioned on Thursday's show before we got cut off, it wouldn't really make a whole hell of a lot of sense for me to give this away, because this is a supplement for Old Gods of Appalachia. So I'm going to also give away a PDF copy of the core rules as well. This is how you get into the running. I'll repeat this when we're done taking a first look. It's going to be pretty easy. All you need to do is spread the word about the gaming gang on social media. So take a screenshot of any post. I don't care if it's Instagram, X, Blue Sky, what have you, Facebook. Share a post about the gaming gang saying, whatever. Just, hey, have you ever checked out the gaming gang? Give it a peek, or I love watching the live streams that Jeff does on the gaming gang. And use thegaminggang.com. Okay? You're going to email me a screenshot of that to Jeff McAleer at thegaminggang.com. I'm going to randomly select one lucky supporter, and they will win that. And then I will announce the winner on next Tuesday's show. So you actually have a good amount of time in order to get into the running for this. So as I had mentioned, I'm trying to do more contests, try to do more giveaways. They're not always just going to be, give the video a thumbs up, comment on the video kind of thing. Spelling Mistake says they'll be at Gamehole, but if they see me floating, they're running the other way. I don't blame you. I certainly do not blame you. Oh, Mistake, where are you going? Chris Lundgren's joining us just in time for the first look as well. All right, gang, we're diving on in for our first look in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission. Maybe, yes, no.
This flick is making me hungry.
I know what you mean. So why don't you pick up some goodies at the refreshment stand sometime?
And what is your heart's desire?
Everything.
That could be hard to carry.
It doesn't bother Flick Man.
He's just make-believe.
Soft drinks, candy, buttered popcorn. They're not make-believe.
Be back in a flick of a pick.
Better hurry before some strange lighter sits down next to me.
The great little leader and star of our gang comedies, Spanky McFarlane. Watch Spanky ride the one and only Speedo bike, the perfect bike for the real little bike rider. It looks exactly like a motorcycle, has super balloon tires, coaster brake, and everything. Here's good news. Now is your chance to own one of these Speedo bikes absolutely free. Through the courtesy of this theater and the sponsor of the program, several Speedo bikes will be given away to the boys and girls who attend this theater. It's all very simple, nothing much to do or get. Have your parents and friends help you be a winner of one of these swell Speedo bikes. Watch for the dates when Speedo bikes will be given away and see the display in the theater lobby for further details. Who will be the lucky winners? The race is on. Let's go.
This Halloween, give the safe treat
Thank you.
that helps treat the disabled.
Thank you.
Give Easter Seal safe Halloween coupons.
Thank you.
Good for special treats at local stores and restaurants.
Thank you.
Give Easter Seal safe Halloween coupons
Thank you.
and give the treat that gives treatment.
Thank you.
Safe Halloween booklets are now available at these fine stores. Support a safe Halloween for children everywhere.
Halloween's a perfect time for baking spooky cookies. Just roll out Pillsbury sugar cookies, cut, bake and decorate, then feed them to your goblins. So much fun there.
Scary.
This Halloween, capture your ghosts and goblins on genuine Kodak film from Thrifty. Whether it's print, slide, or movie film, Kodak is the choice of professionals. Thrifty carries a full line of Kodak film, including C126-24 exposure, C110 and C135 24 exposure in regular and high-speed print film, KR135 36 exposure slide film, and Super 8 movie film. Remember, the sharper you want your memories, the more you need Kodak film and Thrifty.
This is Wilkins Coffee, the finest. Oh, go soak your head. In Wilkins Coffee, a pleasure.
Every child is afraid of the dark, the unknown, the nightmare. In Gatlin, Nebraska, that nightmare is in the corn. Stephen King's Children of the Corn.
Praise God! Praise the Lord!
From Stephen King, the author of Carrie, The Shining, The Dead Zone, and Christine, an adult nightmare. Children of the Corn.
I'm here, Lord! I'm ready!
Stephen King's Children of the Corn, an adult nightmare. Coming soon from New World Pictures.
Pretty incredible that Sarah Connor survived her encounter with the weird child cultists and then gave birth to the savior of Earth, John Connor. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Zero Theory is with us in chat. Kevin R. Smith asks the age-old question, would you rather get an Easter Seals booklet or Charlie Brown's rock for trick or treat? Well, if the rock were a pet rock, I guess I'd be cool with that. I mean, yeah, well, the Easter Seals booklet was good for stuff at stores. It's like I always get a kick out of these like old 1970s McDonald's Halloween commercials, and it's like, oh, get a book of 20 coupons to give out to the kids, which are good for a small soft drink for $1. So it's 20 small soft drinks for $1. Ain't gonna see that these days, Dooley. All righty. So tonight, we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a first look at Dig Your Own Grave for Old Gods of Appalachia from Monte Cook Games. This is written by Shauna Germain. The 128-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $44.99. If you want to grab just the PDF, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $17.99. All right, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Dig Your Own Grave. Couple of things to mention before we get stuck in. First of all, my friends over at Monte Cook Games were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. It's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book, but I do want to give you a good idea of what you're going to find inside. Also, I just revealed before we went to our brief intermission how you can get into the running to win this and the core rulebook in PDF. One lucky supporter of the Gaming Gang is going to receive that. I will also tell you how to get into the running once we're done taking a peek. So let's take a look at the back here. Ah, yes, the red text on the black background. If you were watching Thursday, we started to take a peek at this and then that was it. The YouTube server said, enough of you, you're gone. So let's hope we actually get through this. Here, hold this shovel for a moment, won't you? And this lantern. It's nearly empty, but that's all right. We don't have far to go. Just a little wander through the dark woods into the heart of what it means to be human and alive, to be afraid and brave, to know the monsters and know thyself and wonder if they're one and the same. Who are you? Where do you come from? Who relies on you? And who can you rely on? Old Gods of Appalachia characters are rich and complex, and their ties to the world and each other are every bit as important as their skills and stats. Dig Your Own Grave helps you easily build and advance characters you will love and never forget. A unique choose-your-own background system helps you forge a backstory and motivations that will tie your character deeply to the setting. New systems for connections and bonds for NPCs and other PCs further enrich your party and your game. Plus, get new foci, descriptors, and other character options. Should also mention there is a brand new release for Old Gods of Appalachia. I will have a news piece about that on Tuesday. Looks kind of cool. Like I said, we'll talk about that on Tuesday's show. First thing we're going to do is take a look at the credits page. A lot of folks worked very hard to bring this to life. Let's give credit where credit is due. So we have got an introduction. You're home now. Chapter 1, deeper, new descriptors. Chapter 2 is darker, new foci. And then chapter 3 is the backgrounds. This is where I think we've got kind of a choose your own adventure approach to it. And then chapter 4 is kith and kin, discussing connections. And then we have this one's mine, goods and currency. And then we're going to wrap up with delight in what you fear, playing with horror. And back matter, looks like maybe appendices there. I think this is where we dropped the stream on Thursday. Welcome, fam. Here, Oh, wait, that's what we read off the back. If you have the Old Gods of Appalachia core book, you know that there's already myriad character options and ideas for you to choose from in there. This book is designed to take those beginning offerings and provide some additional choices that allow you to take your characters a bit deeper and darker. In addition to new character descriptors and foci, there are new connections, new player intrusions, and more equipment options, as well as some additional advice to players on really getting into the horror game headspace. All right. So we've got our new descriptors: beloved, disquieted, eerie, ghostly, gommed, green, joshing, particular, plain-spoken, runt, and sentimental. So as an example, gommed, you're kind of a mess and kind of messy. Everything around you is just a little smeared, a little dirty, a little in disarray. Maybe you like it that way, or maybe you try everything to keep yourself neat and tidy to no avail. This doesn't mean you're lazy or even purposefully unkempt. The world just seems to affect you that way. If someone has a stain on their shirt, it's probably on you, even if you don't remember spilling anything on yourself. There's a spot with wet paint, you lean into it. If a bird poops on someone in the area, well, your friends take bets, it'll probably be you. Chris Leonard says they won an award at Mini Wars for best encouraging presentation for a role-playing game. What kind of scam award is that? I'm teasing. That they ran Apes Victorious, which is, isn't it? That's a standalone, like, Planet of the Apes kind of game without being Planet of the Apes, right? It's not it like the introductory adventure for the new Planet of the Apes role-playing game. I seem to recall. All right, so that is gommed. Actually, when we started looking at Runt, that's, I think, when the stream crashed. Someone else destroyed you. This might be in terms of your reputation, your mental or financial state, or your physical well-being. Whatever it was big and life-changing, and you can't seem to get past it. Maybe it's laid you low. Maybe it's given you a desire for revenge. Or maybe you're hesitant to trust yourself, the world, and other people ever again. Now that you know what rock bottom feels like, you do almost anything to keep yourself out of that place. Sweet. Okay, so then we get into new foci. And we have calls upon the quiet, casts shadows, cries wolf, digs her own grave, draws forth a nightmare, is fit to be tied, gathers the masses, has seen some shit, reads the leaves, serves no master, that's me, sows chaos, steals the light, steals the nickels off a dead man's eyes. I guess that's also me. No, I'm joking. Talks the ears off a jackrabbit. So yeah, now there's all these foci that I'd be like, yeah, that's me. Okay, I'll take, yeah, okay, well, no. And then whistles in the woods. Let's take a peek. Cries wolf. You've never told the whole truth a day in your life. In fact, you're so accustomed to lying that even you aren't sure whether what you're saying is true or not. Sometimes bending the truth offers a huge advantage, but other times someone catches you in a lie where you sully your reputation and are never believed again. Being such a truth avoider means you easily recognize that attempts in others too. You can sniff out a lie as easily as a bird dog sniffs out a duck. And anyway, given enough time, isn't it true that all lies eventually become truths? Or at least that's one of the lies that you tell yourself. And if your lies are good enough to fool yourself, the rubes out there don't have a chance to realize you're pulling the wool over their eyes. If you are not familiar with the Old Gods of Appalachia podcast, and I'll be the first to point out, I'm not. I tried giving it a listen a couple of times. Not that it was bad. It was just, and I mentioned this, I want to say when we took a peek at the core book, I tried checking the show out and starting from the beginning, and you could tell that they went back and did edits so they could insert their, hey, support the podcast. Hey, support the podcast. And I thought it was just a little overboard on that. But if you're kind of curious about the sort of horror, the kind of, some people refer to it as like hillbilly horror. I have as well. A good example would be 1922 from Stephen King. And what I mean, there's also a Netflix movie with Thomas Jane, which is actually surprisingly good. It's probably one of the better Stephen King adaptations I've ever seen, amazingly enough. But just the vibe, just the feel of that short story, I guess it's more a novella in length, or that movie will give you a feel for the tone of this sort of a horror game. Although with Old Gods of Appalachia, the horrific elements are a bit more, I guess, readily apparent than 1922. 1922, you're never sure if what's going on is going on or if it's just that Thomas Jane's a lunatic. So, serves no master. Time and time again, you've proven your strength of will. People can't manipulate or trick you, and you've never been one for following orders. Even the supernatural, whether or not you admit to experiencing any of it, holds little sway over your mind. As a result, you're independent and perhaps a little stubborn, but you know how to get things done. And that's a quality that inspires respect. Others often look to you for advice or direction. That steals the light. You are a master of dealing death. No one is better at sneaking into a location, eliminating a target, and slipping out again. Obviously, a professional killer is not likely to have a lot of friends, so you probably use a different identity when traveling and interacting in normal situations. If other people knew the truth about you, they'd wonder why you do it, how you got started with this dark business, and if there's someone for something something you're working for. Kevin R. Smith asks, was 1922 in full dark, no stars? Yes. Yes, it was. All right, so this is I think this is the kind of choose your own path background creation. So it looks like we've got some fiction here with crossing through. So here you go. Reap what you sowed. Who are you, really? What paths have you journeyed along? What promises have you broken or held? What bodies have you buried and left buried? Your character isn't just built from who they are now, but from the bones of their past. All the people, places, and choices your character has experienced are a vital part of who they are today. While all player characters' options already include suggestions for backgrounds as a starting place, Old Gods of Appalachia is a game that's very much about where the characters come from, what decisions they've made, and what wounds they carry. With that in mind, you might be yearning to connect your characters more deeply to their place of origin, their friends and family, and their past experiences. This chapter includes a range of choose-your-own-path style backgrounds. There we go. You can use them hand in hand with the background that you choose during character creation, or you can forego those entirely and embrace these options instead. So we've got a lick and a promise. Been somebody. I could have been somebody. bone waker, by the roots, deal broker, fought the good fight, loyal to the family, and number one rule. And then I think from there, the next few pages are going to be, as you can see, it's like, do you do this or do you do that? And then it's going to tell you what page to go to. I don't know if it's going to give you like specific abilities or anything. I kind of get the feeling it's just creating the fiction of your backstory. I think this artwork here is really cool. Where it's like she's giving over her baby to this being. Yeah, scary kid, scary. Mark Oxwell's with us, says this feels like it could be a pretty fun system to check out with Halloween coming up. So one of the reasons why I held off till October to start showing these to you folks, because I figured, give you an idea. I should have a review of the core rule book. It's not shot yet. I'm hoping to shoot it tomorrow, and then I will put it up while I'm in Madison, Wisconsin. You can go your own way. Go your own way. You called it thunder. Yeah, I know. I'm just messing around. All right, so that's pretty wild. So then we suddenly go. Are these going to tell us? Yeah, I think these might end the backgrounds because I don't see any choices. I think these finish up the story. Neat. So Kevin King says this is basically Shauna Germain's attempt at a deeper dive on Appalachian culture. Wonder how many players want to be that authentic. I don't know if it's that. I would think, because if you're not familiar with Cypher System, and I'll be honest, I've not played it, but I have read a good deal of it now, or, genre books and stuff. It is way, way more focused on the narrative than anything else. So this strikes me as it's trying to put the player in the head space of their player character to kind of get an idea of what drives them and things like that. Now, of course, you're not going to be able to do 100 characters this way because there's only so many choices. Chris Langdon asks, has Bigfoot been seen in that region that the game plays in? Chris Leonard asks, is it very railroady? Not necessarily. I'll tell you what, I would say that most, once again, keep in mind, I haven't seen everything for Cypher System. I haven't seen everything for other systems out there for the most part. There are some games out there I have actually had an opportunity to check out everything available for them. But I want to say that Pathfinder Adventures will turn out to be far more linear than, say, a Cypher System adventure. Because there are a lot of opportunities, like, for an example, you've got the player intrusion where the player actually takes some control of what's going on in the fiction of that adventure. But I mean, yeah, most adventures, they have a plot. They're not, you got to be honest. Most adventures out there for role-playing games are not hex crawls, right? They're not just wide open sandboxes. even adventures that claim to be more of a sandbox sometimes aren't that big a sandbox, right? Okay, so this is the Kith and Kin connections. So we had some sample bonds. We had a bunch of entries here like these. So as an example, one was, you and your former coworker get along like gasoline and a match. If you aren't fighting each other to bits, you're creating chaos and laughing like wild things. Truth be told, the whole company breathed a sigh of relief when one of you moved on. But once a year or so, you find a way to get together and there's no telling what might happen. Chris Leinhardt asked, didn't Savage Worlds do something like this? Yes, they did Holler. I reviewed it. And I can tell you from what I can see to this point with Old Gods of Appalachia, it is a darker, like hillbilly horror than Holler. Holler has some lightness of tone in some respects. I guess Madman would probably be our expert on this because he has so much experience with Savage Worlds. But it's almost along the lines of, like, the Madman ran East Texas University for quite a while. And that's kind of like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer sort of RPG. And I think Holler sort of took that same kind of approach where there's spooky, creepy things, or, there's evil, but there's also kind of a little bit of a lightness to it. I guess I would say maybe like a bit of a playfulness to Holler that I'm not seeing with Old Gods of Appalachia. Madman says they would say I'm correct. Okay, cool. So because I reviewed Holler, I liked it. I thought it was very cool. I thought it was very nicely done for what it was looking to achieve. But if you were looking for something that's going to be really dark, really grim, really spooky, if you're looking to scare the shit out of your players, Holler probably wouldn't be the game that I would aim at. Because, you've got one of the big bads is the company, but the company is using like supernatural things to power equipment and all this other stuff. So there's even a little, I don't want to say silliness. Like I said, I think there's a bit of a lightness to Holler that we're not seeing with something like this. All right. So this is playing with horror. So looks like this is Game Master facing here. I know I'm so busy, answering people in chat that I'm kind of like ignoring what we're flipping through. But hey, that's how we do it. That's how we do it. J-Man says, would love this using Savage Worlds mechanics. Well, as I'm learning more about Savage Worlds, if you caught don't recall which show it was last week. I'd mentioned that I was running Rise of the Rune Lords, the Pathfinder campaign, and first adventure session, I was using Castles and Crusades, and it just dragged. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to use Savage Worlds because I have Pathfinder for Savage Worlds. I reviewed the big Ultimate Core box. So I'm starting to learn more about Savage Worlds. And the reality is that, I'm taking a deeper dive into Savage Worlds. And it really does seem as if you can convert just about anything you want into Savage Worlds, because what you want to focus on is getting the feel right? The feel of certain set pieces in other role-playing games, adventures, and things like that. You're not looking for an exact conversion to Savage Worlds because you're not going to find it. All right. Horror games are a unique type of role-playing experience. I will certainly agree with that, having run Call of Cthulhu for so long. One that offers the opportunity to explore a wide range of emotions, including fear, devastation, heartbreak, anger, and so many more. While much of creating this type of atmosphere and ambiance naturally falls into the hands of the GM, there are also ways for players to help facilitate a fantastic horror experience. So this is also player-facing. So this whole book is really player-facing. Buy into the premise and then some. Thankfully, Elliot, Ed, Paul, the three people who played the most Call of Cthulhu with me over the years, did exactly that. Get comfortable with consent and boundary tools, mental health. It's not your life, it's your life. In many games, horror or otherwise, it's fair to say that one of the big fears comes from the possibility that your character or your character's friends and family might die. That's true in Old Gods of Appalachia, too. Your character or someone your character loves could die, and that would be a horrible experience. But in a game like this one, which is as much about hope and heart as it is horror, there's much more to worry about than only your character's possible death, your character's possible ongoing life with consequences. Ahaha. Agile Monk is with us in chat with a $9.99 super chat. Thank you very kindly, Agile Monk. It says, late feed, Jeff, it's been a yucky day. It's been kind of crappy here in the Chicago area. Not terrible, but just kind of, I mean, it's a fall day. Although I guess we're supposed to see like warm weather again. Go on the body. What does fear feel like? It's different for everyone, but it's often both a mental and physical response. The mental part can be hard to describe in a concrete way. I feel afraid or I feel nervous, says what's happening, but it doesn't convey a whole lot more than that. I remember a situation that I was pretty scared. And I remember, you know when they talk about like somebody's knees knocking? I'll be damned if, I mean, they weren't actually hitting against each other, but my legs were kind of like, it was like, holy cow. All right, let's see. All jokes aside, one of the reasons we all love gaming is how many opportunities it offers us to laugh. Whether it's due to that silly in-group joke that pops up again and again, or a spectacular fumble from one of the players, laughter is a beautiful way to bind friendships and make great games. Unfortunately, it can also put a quick stop to those feelings of foreboding, dread, and fear that make horror games thrive. Cracking a joke or making a funny little out-of-game comment is almost an instinctual way of relieving tension. And many of us do it without even realizing it. Keeping side chatter and jokes to a minimum, especially during those really fraught scenes, makes the game master's job easier and allows attention to keep rising. Yeah, there have been situations where I've had somebody at a game table who thought that they were there to just be Mr. Jokester. And, I'm all for cracking wise at the table because I do it. Especially if it's not something that's supposed to be scary or, suspenseful or things like that. But when everything out of their mouth is like a wisecrack, it's like, I'll actually put a stop to it. I'll be like, all right, is that how you're going to be tonight? Just let me know. And right there, it's sort of like, oh, okay, all right. I'll focus on the game. All right, so that is a peek inside. And then we have sort of some advertisements, both up front, right there. on the end papers. Sweet. All right. So that is a peek inside Dig Your Own Grave for Old Gods of Appalachia, the role-playing game, of course, from Monte Cook Games. I will have a review of this in the not too distant future. If you tune in a little bit late, I am giving away a copy of Dig Your Own Grave as well as the core rulebook for Old Gods of Appalachia, because just the PDF of this wouldn't really do much for you. And this is how you can get into the running to win. And you've actually got some time to get into the contest, because this is the only episode of the Dispatch this week, because I am heading up to Madison, Wisconsin for Gamehole Con. So what I would like you to do is share the Gaming Gang on social media. So make some sort of reference to thegaminggang.com. Say, maybe it's like, hey, if you're into tabletop role-playing games, or if you're into tabletop gaming and you're not familiar with the Gaming Gang, you got to check it out, with the link to thegaminggang.com. Or, hey, I love watching the live streams 3 times a week over from thegaminggang.com. Whatever, right? So take a screenshot of that post on social media. It can be X, it can be Facebook, it can be Instagram, it can be Blue Sky, it can be any social media site. Take a screenshot, email it to Jeff McAleer at thegaminggang.com, and I will select one lucky supporter of the Gaming Gang to win those PDFs. So that is going to be this contest. So if you watched last week, I'm really doing my best to get more giveaways out there, but they're not always just going to be, be a subscriber, give the video a thumbs up, comment on the video. We're going to shake things up. We're going to do some different stuff. And, for all I know, there might only be 2 or 3 people who actually go to the effort of giving a shout out to thegaminggang.com on social media and then send me the screenshot. So you may not have a lot of competition. So there's that too. All right. Once again, if you're heading up to Gamehole Con and you see me roaming around, you see my nephew Cameron and I roaming around, and I'm not interviewing somebody, even if you just see me talking to people like on the exhibit hall, like in the aisles and stuff, come up and say hi. I don't bite. I'm a pretty friendly cat. So hopefully, get to press the flesh with some folks out there. And I should also say, we don't have any game tickets because I don't have a pass yet for Cameron. They have a pass for Elliot, but I guess when I contacted them to ask them to switch, they said, well, they had already printed up the passes. So I couldn't go and buy any game tickets. So I'm bringing some games up there. We're going to be hanging out. We'll probably be in the open gaming area, wherever that might be. So if you see us there playing a game, come say hi. Agile Monk says, hey, I watched this crazy guy named Jeff over at the Gaming Gang. Granted, it's required therapy and court ordered. Yeah, there you go. That'll get people racing over to the Gaming Gang. Oh, boy. The Madman's talking about Solomon Kane. Is that for, I'm guessing that's for Savage Worlds. Is that for Savage Worlds Adventure Edition? Because I thought they did a Solomon Kane years ago, just like they did Lankmar, which is weird. So they were doing Lankmar at the same time Dungeon Crawl Classics started releasing adventures and supplements based on Fritz Leiber's Nawan and Pfaffer and Grey Mouser. And it was sort of like, they got deals for both. All right. That was kind of weird. Sadly, they did not update the Lankmar setting for Suede. And actually, that's the case with quite a few of the older Savage World settings, that even ones that had a lot of support out there kind of surprised. Tronerios has joined us. Says, is this before or after the random thingies part of the live stream? This is the end of the live stream. This is the show wrap up. So, because show starts at 7 o'clock Central Time around these here parts. All right, everybody. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watch live and took part in chat, a big thank you, big tip of the cap to you, because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company while I'm doing the news or paging through a book or unboxing a board game, what have you. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. I really do appreciate you taking time out to watch any of the videos on the channel. There's over 2,300 of them. Pretty wild. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. And of course, if you like the video, give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central. I'll also let you know when I share other videos, such as my recent review of High Noon at Midnight. Also for the Cypher system from Monte Cook Games. Everybody have a great week. I will be back on Tuesday next week. What are we going to take a peek at? I don't know. I will try to make it like Halloween related, horror related, if I can. We got plenty of stuff. We got plenty of things we can take a peek at. Maybe not necessarily horror related, but we shall find out. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and until I see you next time, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.